What's up guys, James here from BootWizard Boot Reviews, and today we're coming towards the end of Bootmas, so we're going to do the best and worst colorways from each brand in 2019. So I'm going to go through every single brand and tell you what I think their best colorway of the year was and also what their worst colorway of the year was. Now, obviously, I guarantee you a lot of you are going to disagree with me, so put your own picks down in the comments. But remember to like the video, remember to get subscribed, and let's jump straight in to my first best and worst, and we're going to start with New Balance. Now, I actually think New Balance have had a really strong year. If you look back across all of their colorways, they've not been too many bad ones. And if you look back at the boots they've released, the updates we've had, New Balance have had their best year probably ever. But to pick my favorite boot from their range this year has not been hard. It is, of course, if you follow the channel, you already know, the Rose Lavelle New Balance Tequila V1. The boot that was made specifically for Rose Lavelle, specifically for the World Cup, released in a very limited quantity, in her specifications, only in her size, and just look at the sole plate. This is everything you need to know about how amazing this boot actually is. So for me, an absolute easy pick for best colorway from New Balance this year, the Rose Lavelle Tequila V1 Pro. As I said, I think New Balance have had a really strong year, so it's actually been quite hard to pick a worst boot from them. But I'm gonna go for maybe a controversial pick, because it's a boot that I've not liked, but I have heard generally positive things about, and it's the Pitch Control Tequila V2. So this was a special edition boot launched in collaboration with some musicians. Honestly, I don't really think the idea hit home, and I think the chrome and black colorway makes the Tequila look bulky, it makes it look blocky, and it just really takes away from some of that futuristic, streamlined look it's going on. For me, wasn't really a hit, especially considering it was trying to build hype with this campaign. Didn't really do it, so the Tequila V2 in the Pitch Control is my worst New Balance colorway of the year, which I think is saying something, considering that that's the worst one. I should also mention that remakes do not count here, because they're just the old boot with new tooling, and I kind of feel like including a Predator Mania or an Accelerator or something like that on a list for best and worst colorways is a bit unfair. So no remakes, not on this list. Let's jump into one of the big boys. Let's do Adidas. Now, Adidas and Nike both release so many colorways that there's gonna be some really high highs and some really low lows. So there's definitely a good range to choose from. I think Adidas have had a decent year, there's been nothing too shocking, but for me, an easy pick for their worst boot of the year, the Nemesis 19 Plus in the polarized pack. Now, I don't dislike the Nemesis 19 Plus as a whole. That whole tape sock construction with the weird dynamic fit type collar, mid-cut collar thing, I actually quite like. But the polarized pack, similar to the New Balance Pitch Control, was a limited release that cost more, that made absolutely no sense at all, and it didn't even look very good. So the polarized pack in the Nemesis 19 Plus for me was an easy choice for Adidas's worst colorway of the year. Best colorway of the year for Adidas, I think also quite an easy one to go for, but it's just so good, and it is the Inner Game pack, but specifically the X19 Plus and 19.1 in that pack, because I'm not too keen on the Copa and the Pred there. But that blue and gold X looks absolutely incredible, and the only thing that really Adidas missed out on here was using this drop as their main drop. So if you don't know, Adidas, Nike, they usually have a main line. So for example, the Adidas Hardwired pack. This was a main line, it's the one that nearly all the pros wear, and then they have little disruptor lines, little hype drops that go in and sell a few more boots and keep eyes on the product, but you don't see pros wearing them very often. I think they've absolutely missed an opportunity by not using this blue and gold colorway on the X basically more widely. This drop was only even very small amounts available in Europe. This was a boot that was only really available in the US and outside of Europe, which is strange for such a good looking boot. But that's not what this is about. So it wins Adidas's best colorway of the year. Umbro, another brand that's done fairly well, especially towards the end of the year with some of their colorway drops, and it would have been very easy for me to pick their blackout colorway for their best of the year, but I haven't. I've gone for that white and plum drop that came just after it, especially in that UX Acuro 3. It's a beautiful looking boot. The drop as a whole is really nice. It's very classic Umbro while still looking modern, and it's a little more exciting than the blackout. Just a great looking pack, and like I say, towards the end of the year, Umbro really pulling out some great looking boots. However, earlier in the year, Umbro pulled out, in my opinion, one of the worst looking packs of the year with the worst name of the year. This pack was called Grey Flannel. Who calls a boot pack grey flannel and expects people to go out and buy it? This sounds ugly, this looks ugly, this was a huge fail. I've barely seen them anywhere because they're just so bad. Grey Flannel Umbro, worst colorway pack from Umbro this year, one of the worst packs of the year altogether. So let's talk Lotto. Not a brand that releases a huge amount of colorways throughout the year, but they have had a lot of new boots this year, which does mean we have a lot of different things to consider. But for worst colorway of the year, it is going to be the Lotto Maestro 200. Not in the blue colorway, but in their original launch colorway. And quite simply, I just think there's too much going on. The silver into the blue with the Lotto green in the logo. I just think it looks a little bit cheap, which is disappointing for a boot that is so excellent. But again, like many other brands, it's not really that bad, and honestly, I still wear it, so how bad can it really be? And then for best looking boot of the year from Lotto, you would think maybe I would have gone with this, the Lotto Solista 200 or the Solista Gravity, the laceless mid-cut version. But no, I have gone for neither of these, and I have gone instead for the Lotto Stadio made in Italy Blackout. This is the classic leather boot from Lotto. It has a fold over tongue, that's always big bonus points in my book, and just a blackout version of that has just... I love it. I really love it. I think it looks fantastic. So that is my best looking colorway from Lotto 2019. Mizuno, another brand that have had a stellar year in terms of both boot drops, boot updates, and generally colorways. It's actually a struggle to find a Mizuno colorway from this year that's not at least nice. There's nothing there that looks particularly bad. Some average drops, but nothing that I'm like, oh, that's a bad looking boot. But for Mizuno's worst colorway of the year, I've gone for the Inazuma Night pack, but specifically the Neo 2, because I actually think in the same pack, the Rebula 3 looks quite nice. So the Neo 2 Inazuma Night is my worst colorway of the year from Mizuno, but it's still alright. And then for Mizuno's best colorway of the year, there's no competition. I will not argue about this. I am 100% correct. It is the Neo 2 Beta in the silver and gold colorway. That is a premium, classy, aggressive, fast. just looks amazing. It's a beautiful, beautiful boot, and the only downside is that so few people will ever be able to try it. Neo 2 Beta, silver and gold, magnifique. Jumping into Puma, a brand that have had a kind of up and down year, had some really good looking boots and some really bad looking boots. And for me, the worst looking boot from Puma this year, the worst looking pack from Puma, is one of the worst looking packs this year. And if you watched any of my Women's World Cup coverage, you will know how much I dislike this boot, to the point where I just dubbed it Ugly Puma Boot. It is the Puma Hacked Pack. Both the Future and the Puma 1 are in this green and black kind of digi camo type look. It's gross. I really don't like it. I think they are bad looking boots. Bad looking boots. As for best looking boots, again, if you follow the channel regularly, you know exactly where this is going. It is, of course, the Grizzy Griezmann 10-year anniversary Win with a Smile Happy Face boots. I was never going to pick anything else. This is one of my favorite colorways across all brands from this year, and it's just amazing. If this doesn't make you smile, then you do not love life or boots. It's a bit harsh, but these are probably some of my favorite boots in my collection, and we will be doing another video on these because I've actually got a different pair. This is not the pair that I did my original review and unboxing on. I have a very special Griezmann customized personal Griezmann boot. These are the exact boot replica that Griezmann wore, not the retail version. And we're going to do a video on this very soon because I'm super excited to have these. So get subscribed if you want to check that out in the new year. I have left a couple of brands out because they simply have not dropped enough colorways or boots this year for there really to be much to talk about. Concave, for example, their Hulk Halo Plus looks fantastic, and their most recent Volt in the silver orange looks pretty terrible, but they don't really have enough releases to make a whole section on it. Same with Diadora, everything is a Brazil in black or white. It's not that exciting, there's not much to talk about. And finally, on to Nike, a brand that's been pretty consistently good with its colorways this year. I don't really have anything to complain about, but in terms of best colorway this year, I really think there is only one choice, and it is the limited edition Dazzle Camo Tiempo. So that's the Tiempo Legend 8 in that Dazzle Camo look that we saw players like Virgil van Dijk rocking long before the release. It's got to cover up all the elements that were on that Legend 8. It was super cool. We weren't sure if it was getting released or not. In the end it did. It dropped super limited. It's so different to anything else that has been dropped this year that I'm so impressed by it, and it has to be the best looking colorway from Nike this year. For worst looking colorway, I have 3 boots that really upset my eyes. Just boots I do not like. Again, if you follow the channel or you follow my Instagram, one of those is the Singles Day Mercurial Vapor 13. I really don't like that boot. I just think it is ugly. It's just ugly. The way the colors come together, gross. But that doesn't make the worst colorway of the year, despite how much I dislike it. The next one that, again, doesn't quite make the worst colorway of the year, but again, I really don't like it. I even own it, and it's awful. It's the Shuai colorway from the new Superfly 7, the Cristiano Ronaldo China release. It's commercial, it's obvious, it's boring, it's ugly, it's oversaturated with meh. It's just not a very nice looking boot, and I'm not down for that at all. But it's not ugly enough to be my least favorite Nike boot of the year. My least favorite Nike boot, get ready on the keyboards to be angry at me down in the comments. It is the Superfly 6 Elite in the Cristiano Ronaldo Special Edition that has Cristiano in huge letters down the side. Who thought that this was a good idea? I don't want another player's name in enormous letters down the side of my boot. It just looks like it's been drawn on. It's a black, gold and white boot. It should work so well. Just doesn't. It's so obvious and in your face, and it looks like they ran out of ideas. They dropped the level up, which was a great boot, and it felt like that was supposed to be a Ronaldo boot, but it didn't happen. So then they dropped another boot for Ronaldo. It was just gross. Like, it's so in your face, it's horrible. So, my worst Nike boot of the year, and one of my least favourite boots of the year overall, is that Superfly 6 Elite Cristiano limited edition boot. I'm very sorry to all the people that I've just upset. And that's it, the worst and best colorway in my opinion from every brand this year. Let me know down in the comments what you think of my picks, and let me know what your picks are. Maybe I've missed something, or maybe I've included something that you really love. Remember to like this video, remember to get subscribed. You can click over here to check out the rest of my bootless Boots of the Year content. And that's all from BootWizard here today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope we're still friends. Have a good one, and I'll see you soon.